The Atlanta Braves somehow rally for what might be the wildest win of 2025. Let's talk about it.
This is the Braves Postcast, your instant game reaction for the Atlanta Braves. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into the Braves Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, where we cover your Atlanta sports teams each and every day. I'm your host, Lindsay Crosby, author of the Braves Today newsletter over at bravestoday.com. You can follow me on social media at Crosby Baseball. And if you're doing that, you saw how surprised I think I was at the Atlanta Braves somehow winning this game, 12-11 in 10 innings. Those of you who were not watching football, I'm glad you're here. This was, and I want to get your opinion in the chat here, those of you who are live on YouTube, this might be the absolute wildest game that Atlanta has won in the 2025 season. Reds are up 3-0 after the first two innings off of Carlos Carrasco. Atlanta rallies to get back to a 3-3 game. Atlanta scores 8 runs in the top half of the 8th. 13 batters come to the plate. 8 hits, 8 runs. And I'm thinking this is over. I'm thinking this is done. And you know what? I'm an idiot. Because the Atlanta Braves bullpen goes out there and just absolutely lays an egg. Dane Dunning, who I was very happy about Dane Dunning. Dane Dunning does not record an out. 5 hits, 5 runs allowed. Dylan Lee comes in. He gets 2 outs. He also gives up 3 runs on 3 hits. Both these guys give up home runs. Pierce Johnson has to come out to get the final out of the inning. He does on a strikeout. He turns around and pitches a scoreless 9th. And then Atlanta gets a run in the 10th. And who do they send out there? Raisel Iglesias, who wasn't even supposed to be on the team right now. We all thought he was going to get traded at the deadline. Atlanta doesn't send anybody out on Thursday. They're the only team that doesn't make a trade at the deadline. And the 2 guys that we all thought were going to leave, Marcell Ozuna, he goes 1 for 2 with 3 runs scored. And Raisel Iglesias pitches a perfect 10th inning. 1 strikeout, no hits. Luke Williams makes a great defensive play to get Elly De La Cruz at third. It's the most inexplicable win, I think, of the year. Because, be honest, every single one of us here in the chat, there's like 175 people right now here. Every single one of us thought that Atlanta was getting walked off in the 9th. And if you did not think that, you're lying. And instead, the Braves do this. So let's talk about the pitching. Let's talk about the offense. We're going to try to keep the normal structure of the show here, but just have to acknowledge how absolutely wild that this is, right? Here's the thing about Carlos Carrasco starting the game. I was really impressed. Yes, he gives up 3 runs early, okay? Like, let's acknowledge that. He's a little shaky early, but he rebounds, and you get a quality start out of Carlos Carrasco. 6 innings, 7 hits, 3 runs, 2 walks to 5 strikeouts. He throws 95 pitches. And like he averaged 92 miles an hour on his fastball. That's it. He just threw everything, right? Fastball, slider, changeup. Here's a sinker. Here's a cutter. I like multiple fastballs. He throws all 3 of them. He throws a curveball in there too. And for being somebody that was designated for assignment by the Yankees, and then nobody tried to get him in a trade, and he sat in AAA for a couple months, he had 13 whiffs in this one, a 31% CSW. He, again, a little shaky early, but after that, he looked really good. And so I'm thinking, okay, Atlanta was able to rally. You get the big inning. You feel good. And then again, Dane Dunning collapses. Dylan Lee has a lot of trouble. And I think the Dylan Lee one is the one that's the most concerning to me, because we all have been banking on, like, Dylan Lee is going to be one of our better relievers next year. We're assuming a lot of these guys are gone. Iglesias is gone. We're assuming Aaron Bummer is going to get traded, right? Just guys moving out of here. You've already got rid of Montero. You've already gotten rid of Avena de los Santos. Dylan Lee has given up 4 home runs in his past 7 innings that he has pitched. And Jake talked about this. Jake made a really great point the other day before he left on another vacation. Made a great point that the Braves bullpen looked really good earlier in the year because they weren't having to pitch that much. And Alex Anthopoulos talked to us today about the trade deadline, and I've got some thoughts on that. A lot of them are going to be in the newsletter over at bravestoday.com. That's not what this postcast is for. But he even also, he admitted that Jake knows ball. AA said the bullpen was doing really well when you had Schwellenbach and Sale going 6 or 7 or even 8 innings. And when they have to cover extra, we see some of the weaknesses here. Again, I mean, Dylan Lee, he gives up a run on a single to Ellie De La Cruz. Wasn't a terrible pitch, wasn't a great pitch. He gives up a single to Austin Hayes. Was actually a really good piece of hitting by Austin Hayes. It's a 2-2 count, and it's a fastball up and in, and he somehow gets on it and gets it to left field. The Spencer Steer homer is the one that it's frustrating. It's hard to fault him for that. Slider down at the bottom of the zone on an 0-1 count. And he had, the only thing I think you could quibble about on this is he had gotten Spencer Steer to chase a slider that was like a foot below the zone. Why do you then throw one in the zone? Just throw another one below the zone and see if he'll chase it again. But he throws it just very bottom of the zone and it's gone. I want to know from you in the chat, are you actually happy that Iglesias is here when you look at the context of he was able to go out there, lock down a win in the 10th and get the save? Or is this something where you wanted to see the Braves lose to maybe get a better draft pick? Because I'm of the opinion, if you think about the long-term viability of the Braves, you would have been better to not have Raisel Iglesias tonight, right? Because you didn't play Drake Baldwin as a designated hitter, which means it's he's now slightly less likely to win Rookie of the Year and get you an extra first-round draft pick. You won the game, which means you're slightly less likely to get the number 1 overall draft pick. And so it helps from the perspective of we feel good because the Braves won. But from a long-term perspective, this was technically a bad result. I'm never going to cheer on the Braves to lose. I just think it's important to kind of think about what is more important right now. Getting a better draft pick or a second draft pick, or playing Marcell Ozuna and Raisel Iglesias, winning the game, but not improving next year's team because these guys won't be here and you can't get an asset for them, right? In just a second, let's talk about the offense. Ozzy had a big night. That is a big deal for 2026. We'll do all of that next, right here on the Braves Postcast. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Day Hue, and so is this hat I'm wearing. For Braves fans like me, this one hits the mark because Game Day Hue makes clean, no-logo gear with team-inspired colorways for every pro and college fan base. It's all about letting your colors speak for you. No giant logos, just smart, versatile style that works on game day or the course or anywhere in between. I own a lot of Atlanta Braves stuff. And sometimes there's days when I'm obviously still in love with the Braves. I'm still a Braves fan, but maybe I don't want to put the A on my forehead at that moment. So I can grab the white and blue. I can grab the blue and red, and it's subtle. It's stylish. I can still rep my team without having to have a bunch of conversations with strangers about how disappointed I am in the trade deadline. It's not just hats, by the way. Check out their split shade gloves made for the golf course. It's also the perfect gift for the fan who has everything. So right now you can get 15% off with code MLB15 at GameDayHue.com. That's GameDayHue, HUE.com. The code even stacks on bundle deals, so now's the time to load up. Let your colors talk, because colors speak louder than words. That's GameDayHue.com, code MLB15. All right, so again, 12-11 win by the Braves. The offense picks up 13 hits. 8 of those were in the 8th inning. And ignoring what the pitching did for a minute, because obviously the pitching was atrocious, right? Like that was awful. Talking about the offense, though, Atlanta, the thing about that inning, and it's something that we've discussed for a while, I'm not going to directly give Tim Hires credit for this, but I'm hinting that this slightly might be some sort of Tim Hires thing here. Think about how that 8th inning unfolded, right? Ozzie Albies single. Sean Murphy single. They changed pitchers. Michael Harris single. That was actually like a bunt single, right? Spencer Steer just misplays that. He should not have grabbed it. Eli White single. Luke Williams double. Just stringing together consecutive hits. Nobody's trying to kill the ball. They're just trying to get the ball into play. The first time you see somebody come up that's actually like swinging for the fences, it's Jurickson Profar. What does he do? He strikes out on 4 pitches. Called strike. He just didn't want to swing. Fouls off an inside sweeper and then swings and misses at a changeup off the plate. But you keep going on. Matt Olson, fielder's choice, right? Just to throw home, not a good throw home, right? This is the thing. This is why I like having Eli White in the lineup over Jared Kelenic. Is Eli White's speed makes that play. Sam Moll gets the ball in plenty of time to get a throw home. But Eli White is breaking for the plate on contact. Moll kind of panics a little bit and goes to like throw it in, and he throws it high, and they can't get the tag down. You go outside of that, they change pitchers again. Austin Riley single. Marcell Ozuna walk. He walked 3 times tonight. Looked like the old Marcell Ozuna. Ozzie Albies comes up again in the inning. He singles, 2 RBI single. Sean Murphy doubles. None of this were guys even trying to hit home runs. Michael Harris gets the second out of the inning, and he's, what is this? He is I think he's the 11th batter of the inning, 12th batter of the inning. 3 strikes. It was he fouled off a sinker inside, and then he did a Michael Harris. He swung at a slider that was literally in the dirt before Eli White flies out to left. But this is, we hate on Tim Hires a lot, and probably rightfully. But when it works, which has not been often this year, when it works, this is an example of what he's trying to do. They kept the inning going because they weren't trying to launch homers. They were trying to string together quality hits. And Paige makes a great point in the chat. Cincinnati still out-hit Atlanta in this game. Like, yes, the Braves won this. Cincinnati still had more hits than Atlanta did. And then obviously they go on and they do all of that in the 8th as well. But even getting your run in the 9th, right? Matt Olson at second. Austin Riley has a productive out. He gets the sacrifice, like the fly ball to center field to advance Austin Riley. Ozuna gets a sac fly to right. You don't pick up a hit in the inning, but you get the run. This is it feels like a little bit of a different approach. The Braves weren't situationally this good. Part of me starting to wonder, and we're gonna be watching for this the last 2 months of the season, right? Part of me starting to wonder, is the improvement we've seen in the offense since the All-Star break. There's still been bad games, yes. But as a whole, they've been a little bit better since the All-Star break. Is some of the improvement them drawing all of these walks? Them getting not like knowing when to try to do a put the ball into play, advance a runner kind of stuff? And is this a sign that the Tim Hire stuff is starting to stick? Because if it is, and yes, it's very frustrating that they didn't do this early in the year, but it also takes time to change some of these things. If this is a sign that the offense is going to be better down the stretch and therefore better next year, Does it make us feel like we need less position player changes during, like, in the offseason? Sam makes a great point in the chat as well. Will guys play better now knowing they don't have to, like, think and worry about being traded? So I'm choosing to take the positives here. Yes, the bullpen was awful. Yes, I'm concerned about Dylan Lee's home runs he's given up recently. I'll probably dive into that on the newsletter and see if there's something he's doing wrong or if it's bad luck. But I'm taking the positives away. And the positives are that it feels like the Tim Hires approach is starting to help. Now, here's the other thing. If Atlanta, when Brian Sittker retires, because we all expect / hope Brian Sitker's going to retire after the season, we all want them to keep the pitching coach. Are they going to keep Tim Hires or are they going to replace him? Because if they replace him with somebody else who has a different philosophy, do we have to do this again? Do we have to do another season of a bad offense or 2/3 of a season while they adjust? We'll see what happens. Tomorrow's game, quick reminder here. I saw somebody ask in the chat earlier. Tomorrow's game is 12:40 p.m. Eastern. It's Bryce Elder versus Brady Singer. So this one should be over pretty quickly. A lot of runs probably scored by Cincinnati. The reason this game is a day game on a Friday, it's not because they're playing in Wrigley like the Cubs usually do. It's because the teams are packing up to go to Bristol after the game on Friday. As I've been told, they're going to fly into Tennessee, or however they're going to get there. They're going to get to Bristol on Friday night and then go to the ballpark on Saturday morning. They won't actually, this is so they can travel. So day game, 12:40 on Friday, Bryce Elder versus Brady Singer. We will be back with another postcast for this. Let's hope this same offense comes back because you've got Bryce Elder. But again, Atlanta 12-11 win in 10 innings over the Cincinnati Reds. Do me a favor. If you're listening on audio, leave a 5-star review for Locked On Braves and the Locked On Braves postcast. Apple, Spotify, YouTube Music. Words of affirmation would be awesome. I like them. Jake secretly likes them. He won't admit to it, but he does too. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to both Locked On Braves and Locked On Sports Atlanta. They have a ton of content coming over there about Falcons training camp. They are there. Jarvis is an incredibly hard worker. He's at Falcons training camp, dropping videos, shorts, everything every single day. So subscribe to both Locked On Braves and Locked On Sports Atlanta. Until next time, I'll talk to you all tomorrow. This has been the Braves Postcast.